Hey, how's it going? My name's Chris Martin. I help run this thing called Lifeway Social, which you probably know about by now if you're watching this video and you get this email. Today, I want to talk about three ways social media is limited as a medium, or three limits of social media as a medium. I have a bit of a story to tell. A while back, a couple years ago now, I guess, maybe about this time last year, actually. Author was recommended to me, a guy by the name of Neil Postman, and I was finishing up seminary about this time last year, and didn't really want to get into any extracurricular reading beyond what I already had going on with seminary at the time. So kind of put off getting the book. And then midsummer, last summer, I bought Amusing Ourselves to Death, which is arguably Postman's most famous work, or certainly one of his most famous works. And it's about how the television age kind of is leading us to amuse ourselves to death. The book was written in 1985, so it's a pretty old book, about 30 years old. And I purchased the book around early summertime, June-ish, and I put off reading it for months. And it sat, in fact, I'm sitting here at my home office on my desk, and it sat on my little book stand over here, kind of staring me in the face for a few months. And then I finally read it, I want to say, October-ish. I finally decided, okay, I'm going to pick this book up and I'm going to read it. And the reason I hesitated to read it, the reason I waited so long, was because I was afraid of what it was going to do to me. Because I knew what the book was about. I knew it was kind of an anti-technology, not anti-technology, maybe anti social media, even though it literally never talks about social media because it was written long before any social media platforms existed. And so I just knew that it was going to call into question the value of social media because of the nature of what Postman talks about in the book. And my job is social media, right? The reason you're getting this video or watching this video or this seeing this email or whatever, the reason that's my job. I help people do social media better. And hopefully for the glory of God and to help people better understand and know who the Lord is. And so I was really hesitant to read a book that would call into question the way I pay my bills. And because I know deep down that social media has some serious flaws. And my fear was that I was going to read this book and want to abandon social media completely. And so that's why I put it off for a while. Finally, I decided to read it, like I said, sometime in the fall, this past fall, October-ish. And and I read it in like 2 days, 3 days. I mean, it's a short book, and I blazed through it because I was so enraptured by his claim. I was I was so caught up in agreement with what he had to say. And it's amazing. I've written about Postman amusing ourselves to death, I think, on this blog before, and maybe on some other places I've written. An article for the ERLC, I know I wrote about his work and how it affected me. And what's kind of funny is what I was afraid would happen happened. Like, I got finished reading Amusing Ourselves to Death, and I wanted to quit my job. I wanted to stop working in social media completely. I wanted to get rid of my iPhone and get a boring, flip phone and just really simplify and get away from everything. And you have to know, if I'm going to be honest with you, you have to know to some extent I still want to do all that. Like, social media, I'm always at war with the value of social media, about the value of social media in my mind. Just from a conscience perspective. Not, I think it can be used for good. I think it can definitely be used for evil. And, with these latest Facebook revelations about data and how they've held data and sold data, though they would never phrase it like that, it becomes all the more concerning to me. And so I read Postman's book in the fall, and I came away wanting nothing to do with social media anymore. And honestly, ever since then, because of other things I've read or things I've experienced, when I feel like Twitter's listening to me because I get ads for things I've never searched, I slide back into that. But I came out of it, and I'm obviously still working my job and pouring a lot of effort and time and thought into social media because I do think there's something that can be done with it. Do I think that it's incredibly destructive at times? Of course. Do I think social media is incredibly intrusive at times? Of course, though by our own doing. Do I think social media can lead people into sin of all kinds? Of course. There are all kinds of terrible ways social media can be used that I struggle even to call it a neutral medium or a neutral tool because of how bad it can be. But I do think that Christians, the church, can use it for good, which is why I still, if I thought that it was a hopeless cause, I'd have stopped doing what I'm doing long ago. So I do think there's value, but I do think there are limits too, and that's what my blog post this week on the Lifeway Social blog was actually a repost of something I'd written on a different site back earlier around when I was reading Postman, and it's called The 3 Limits of Social Media as a Medium. And quickly, I'll run through these with you. One, what are the limits of social media? One, social media deceives us. It deceives us into believing we're informed when we're actually misinformed. We're caught up in what Postman calls disinformation. Let me read you a quote from what he writes about disinformation. He says, "Disinformation does not mean false information. It means misleading information, misplaced, irrelevant, fragmented, or superficial information. Information that creates the illusion of knowing something, but which in fact leads one away from knowing." I think social media can deceive us by giving us disinformation, by giving us these deluges of information and things we need to know and things that should be concerning us and things that should be making us flip over tables and things. We can get so overwhelmed by gushes of information that are pulling us in 15 different directions that we actually end up being deceived. We actually end up caring about a lot of things that either aren't relevant or perhaps we have no power to do anything about. And it ultimately can cripple us. It can erode our ability to prioritize and address information that we can actually act upon. So that it deceives us. Number 2, it distracts us. Now, I mean, obviously, this is not news, right? This is not revelatory. Social media distracts us. Recently, with the new Facebook revelations that have come out about how much data they've given to people and how broken it's been in the past, I've just decided, you know what? Here's what I want to do. I want to use social media. I'm being completely transparent with you. I don't even know who's watching this. I want to be on social media as little as possible personally, while still maintaining my authority as a social media professional. Does that make sense? I hope that you can see what I mean by that. I am becoming less and less interested in using social media on a personal level. Of all the major platforms, I think Twitter's the one I like the most. And even there, I've scaled back so much how much I actually tweet. It's just the one I check the most. It's the one I read the most on. But I deleted Instagram from my phone. I deleted the Facebook app from my phone. I deleted the Facebook Messenger app from my phone. I deleted Snapchat, but put it back because my wife uses it to send goofy pictures of a dog or whatever to me, and I want the opportunity to get those. But yeah, I mean, so I still have Twitter on my phone, but I just decided I just want to use these platforms from a professional perspective as much as possible and try to kind of rein in from a personal perspective, not only because of the data stuff, but also just because I don't want to be distracted by the stuff. So that's me, but he Postman says regarding the Telegraph. So listen to this. This is about the Telegraph, which I would describe to you, but I'm so distanced from the Telegraph I can't even perfectly describe it. I think it's the thing where they do the Morse code and you see in like old Western movies. He says telegraphy made relevance irrelevant. The abundant flow of information had very little or nothing to do with those to whom it was addressed. So we can be barraged by so much unnecessary information that it ends up having nothing to do with us, and it can't really even affect us. Number 3, social media drowns us. It provides us so much information that we cannot be expected to act upon all of it. A friend recently texted me to ask if I'd seen a popular Christian hashtag in which hundreds, if not thousands, of people had been tweeting about. I forget exactly even what it was at this point. But he was like, hey, man, have you seen this hashtag or whatever? And it was something in the Christian subculture. And I said, no, I haven't. And I mean, I work in social media. And I just said, I honestly don't feel like I have time to keep up with everything everyone's telling me I need to care about all the time. It's like if you don't tweet about something, you don't care. And I understand the need to be, especially I just came from the MLK 50 conference, the need to be outspoken about various issues in our culture, whatever they may be. I understand the need, especially if you're in a position of authority, to speak up and to lead in those areas. I don't like the sort of precedent that's sort of been set in a lot of areas where if you don't tweet about it, you must not care. That bothers me. And in fact, a lot of times when a major thing is happening, I won't tweet about it because I want to push back against that narrative. Like, I can care and not tweet my disdain or my disgust or something like that. And so I think we need to remember that like something like 21% of the country is even on Twitter. So when you think about, oh man, these people didn't tweet about it, they clearly don't care. Well, maybe they just aren't on Twitter as much as you or something like that. So I think we need to understand that there are some clear limits to social media as a medium. And I am more pessimistic about social media right now, arguably, than I've ever been. I am less and less interested in redeeming it. But it's one of those things I just feel like I have a conviction about because I understand it. And, it feels like I've been burdened in a way, I don't know, from the Lord or from my own brain, to help people navigate it. And I outside of the Twitter and things like that, I largely don't engage on the weekends. Like I said, deleted the apps from my phone. I'm just trying to pull back because I'm realizing more and more, not only the limits of it as a medium, but the invasiveness of it as a medium. So that's my little, it's kind of a rant, kind of a ramble, a little vlog thing today almost. Those are what I understand is the limits of social media as a medium. I hope that's been helpful for you. I don't know if you feel this way. I don't know, you can comment or respond to the email or I don't know, whatever you want to do. You don't have to respond, but let me know if you're feeling the same way I am. If you're I'm just feeling tired. I'm just weary, I guess is the right word, of social media. And I think it's still a fight worth fighting, but it feels more like a fight than a joy than it ever has. And so I hope you have a great weekend. If you're watching this on the Friday, I deliver it. If you're watching this on some random day, 10 years from now, hi. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope this video has been helpful for you.